Welcome to Ben Unfiltered. It's great to be here. It's great to be here for the first episode in this studio where my co-tenants tell me they have not been smoking. It just smells like a cigarette in here. I know people love the idea of like a broadcaster who's just been smoking cigarettes. I'm a broadcaster who does not smoke cigarettes and is mad that his studio smells like cigarettes. It's the exact opposite of some guy who's just loving smoking. This is my podcast. I'm just a comedian. I live in Los Angeles. I'm by almost everyone's standards, a very unsuccessful comedian. So if you're like, wait, I've never heard of this guy, you shouldn't have. Wait, why does this guy have a podcast? I've never heard of him. That's what podcasts are supposed to be for. The point of a podcast is that some guy who does not have an interest in acting or boxing or MMA or, doing or living in an airplane hangar wants to like develop a bit of a fan base based on their ability to be funny or whatever, or talk about, eating bone marrow or whatever the fuck people are into now into a microphone. The whole point is like I feel like the original point of a podcast was that you have nothing. You have nothing in your life. You're honestly like, it's either suicide or talking to a microphone. I think that the original point of podcasting was like, I don't know what I can do as a performer. I don't know what's left for me. I'm going to try talking into a microphone. And if you're Joe Rogan, that means interviewing people about aliens. I'm going to try. I'm just going to try. Maybe no one will be interested. Fuck it. That was the attitude 15 years ago for podcasting. Fuck it. I'm just going to try it. Now the attitude for podcasting, for a podcaster is, your agent tells you that you're famous enough to have a podcast. That's what's happened to the industry of podcasting. It's, hey, you have 3 shows on different streaming services. Have you thought about promoting those through an excruciatingly boring podcast? Have you thought about that? I love It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I love that show. But if you have a show that's on the air for 20 years and you're all in, everybody who's ever, the 3 guys who have been on that show are all individually very wealthy. They don't need to do anything the rest of their lives. And now they're doing a podcast on top of that. I need people I don't have anything. You know how much I pay for health insurance right now? $0 a month. I'm on the Joe Biden bronze plan that it's a ticking time bomb of a healthcare plan. I might not have healthcare by the end of this podcast. They might just get rid of the bronze. They can get rid of this at any moment. I'm not paying for it. My deductible is so high that if I get into a car accident, I'm going to have to injure myself worse in the car accident. Like I'm going to be in a car accident and there's my car tire is going to be in my chest and I'm going to have to punch myself in the head and break my leg just to meet the deductible. Meanwhile, I'm listening to a podcast where 3 extremely successful actors, writers, and directors from a TV show are talking about how tough their day was today. That's what I saw a clip from the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia podcast. And one of the guys, I'm not going to say which one. There's no need to narrow them down that much. I'm willing to burn bridges. And I have. I've burned bridges. I've burned the bridge between me and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which is, that's a pretty horrible bridge to burn. But I don't need to say which one it was. Dennis is the one. The guy who played Dennis, I don't know his name. He goes, today, guys, everything went wrong. How's that even at your stage of your career? Nothing can go wrong. He's like, everything went wrong today. I called an Uber. It's like, I don't even have a budget for an Uber. I don't take Ubers. He's like, my Uber went all right. You already lost me at my Uber. I have no interest. He goes, my car's not working. So then I call an Uber, that goes wrong. And then I spent more money somewhere else. And that was a waste of money. My point is, Chris Pratt has a podcast. Pretty soon, Tom Cruise is going to have a podcast. Can you imagine that? The Scientology podcast. Inside the mind of, the in loving memory of L. Ron Hubbard podcast. I don't know. I love the idea of like me. I've also had a bunch of failed podcasts. I've done a handful of podcasts with some groups, and I actually won't mention who these people are, who were generous enough to help me produce some podcasts that did not succeed by their estimation. And that's why I'm alone in a studio that smells like cigarettes with couches with just stains all over them. Look at that. You're like, I wonder where he's recording that. I wonder what he's sitting on. Just stains. I'm just sitting on a variety of stains right now. I'm not even going to say how the stains occur. I let a guy sleep here one night. He paid me. And then in the morning, there's just stains everywhere. I didn't even ask what the stains were. He goes, sorry, I spilled coffee. And I'm like, and jizz, or did you kill somebody? Like, is this just coffee? That's just coffee? How the fuck is that just coffee? That's where I'm at right now. I am co-leasing the studio with a bunch of people. And in order to help pay the bills, I let a guy sleep here who just let liquids go everywhere. So he paid $50 to spend the night here. And in return, I lost a couch and, basically he defiled our furniture for $50. He ruined what this studio, we have to go out and buy brand new stuff if we really want to use the studio effectively. It was a complete waste. I should not have let this guy sleep here, but who doesn't want $50? So that's where I'm at. I'm not Chris Pratt. I'm not Jeremy Piven. I'm not Mike Tyson. I'm Ben Herwitz. And you're probably not even going to remember my name by the end of it. You're probably like, Ben Schwartz? No, Ben Herwitz. I was introduced as Ben Schwartz the other day at a comedy show by a real anti-Semitic piece of shit. He's like, Ben Jew? Come into the stage, Ben Jew? I think he's just a Jew. Yeah, so that's it. I'm at the bottom of the totem pole right now, attempting to climb. I just want to make a little bit of ground. That's all. I just want to drop my remote sales job where I haven't made any money yet. Anyways, I just want to not have to make sales calls to injury lawyers in small towns who tell me that they get a lot of calls like this and they're not happy about it. That's my job currently. I call people who go, could you, all of you people, stop calling? All you fucks. And I'm like, this is the first time I've called you. And they go, well, tell everybody. I'm not in contact with all the people who are making these calls. And it's very, very disconcerting that there are other people making the same bad sales calls that I'm making. They go, I get calls like this. I'm like, this is a horrible job. I get these kind of calls. If your job is to call people who then say, we get too many of these calls, please stop calling, you should pick a different career. That's what I'm finding. I just want to stop doing that. That's my dream is to not have to do that. And if the thing that allows me to not have to do that, this is kind of a millennial cliche. If the thing that gets me out of my remote sales job and doing stand-up gigs where I barely break even, is my parents' death, that's fine. If my parents dying is my new career, that's fine by me. I'd much rather call a realtor to sell my parents' house than call these fucking injury lawyers in Oregon. I'm calling injury. I have a college education. My parents have had high expectations for me at one point. And now what I do is I wake up every morning and start calling injury lawyers in Albany, Oregon. I grew up not thinking that I'd ever even know what Albany, Oregon. like it's one thing to be aware that Albany, Oregon exists. It's another to call injury lawyers there and ask them for money. So again, have I demonstrated to you yet that you don't know who I am? I'm not David Spade or Dana Carvey. I'm not a guy who started a podcast this year because someone said, hey, you can make a lot of money. I know I'm not going to make a lot of money doing this. There's no question. I will make $0 doing this for a long time. That being said, if you want to join my Patreon, there's nothing there. That's who I am. I'm just a comedian who, recently I did go to New York, which is cool, and did some shows. And then I got back to, and then I went back to reality and drove to New Mexico and did some shows. And then even more recently, I drove to San Luis Obispo and did some shows. And you know what my like consensus, like the summary of all of that is, I'm going to kill myself. It's just, I loved, my girlfriend and I saved up, booked plane tickets to New York. We went in September. It's fantastic. It's the right time to go to New York. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. We were celebrating September 11th. It was great. We went and I wore a turban when I went. No, we went on the 13th because I didn't want to go on September 11th. I actually intentionally wanted to avoid all of the people in New York City who were like, never forget. You're here on September 11th, never forget. The sandwich is a never forget sandwich. I didn't want to deal with that. I didn't want to have every pizza slice I ate dedicated to the people who died in 9/11. So we went on the 13th. And honestly, I grew up on the West Coast. I grew up in San Francisco. When I started doing stand-up, I thought I'll move down to LA. It's just convenient. I'm just going to save money by moving to LA. And you know what my thought process was? I was like, I'll get like very successful quickly in LA. Because when I moved down, white people were still allowed to succeed. No, that's not the problem. It's on me. It's not on me. I'm not going to pull a, what's the guy's name who did Bros, the gay movie? You don't know about this? There's a gay rom-com, if you want to look it up. Billy on the Street. You know Billy on the Street. Oh, yeah. So he made a gay rom-com and it completely bombed. He made it with Judd Apatow. Like, there's no reason for this not to be a successful movie. And he's blaming the lack of success of the movie on the fact that everybody's homophobic in America. And it's like, we're so far past homophobia that it's just a bad movie. There's no way there's no way you can go, well, everybody in America hates gays. It's like, if you made a gay rom-com in 1920, yeah, blame it on the homophobia in America. It's 2020. People just don't like your movie, dude. So what I'm saying is, I almost blame my lack of success in comedy on the fact that I'm a straight white man, but I'm not going to pull a Billy on the Street. It's my fault. It's not just because America hates straights. But I moved to LA and I was like, I'm going to succeed quickly. And then I'm going to, after I have some credits under my belt and I'm like doing okay, then I'll move to New York, because I know that's really that's like the gym for comedy. That's where people get good at comedy, because there's more clubs. You can walk from one to another. There's more shows per night in these clubs because people stay up later. There's more people who want to go to shows. I mean, my buddy who's in digital marketing looked up stand-up in LA, stand-up in New York. And the top search for stand-up in New York is, where do I see stand-up? Where do I consume stand-up? And the top search for comedy in LA is, how do I do stand-up? Which is disgusting. So people in New York want to see professional comics perform stand-up comedy. People in LA just want to fuck around on stage. They just want people to look at them. Honestly, people in LA want to be famous any way possible. They don't care how it happens. I've actually been doing a bit about this on stage. It's a city full of sociopaths, dumb sociopaths. I mean, it's the world's dumbest sociopaths. It's people who there's no barrier to entry. you're just like, I want to get famous and I want power now. And I'm not going to do the whole bit. I'll post it eventually, and you won't watch it. You'll be watching the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. My Uber ride was hard today podcast. You know what's hard? Uber. It is. Uber's hard. I agree. It is. I actually don't like Uber because they talk to you too much in the car. I miss taxis. I haven't taken either for a very long time, but I used to. When I ever took anything, taxis were better because they don't speak English. Ubers are telling you about their job, like they have some career plan. They hey, you should follow me on Instagram. By the end of the Uber ride, you have to follow a guy just to get out of the car and not have your rating go below 4. You have to follow him and send him a DM. Hey, thanks, man. Don't ruin my Uber rating, please. And in a taxi, the guy's just talking in, Lebanese or something to his family. It's not even. Oh, I'm moving this. Okay. Yeah, the taxi ride's great. There's just like an Egyptian guy speaking a language you've never even heard before. Egyptian, probably. So we went to New York, and I always knew that New York, or I always had the idea that New York is just a better place to do stand-up and that I would like it more. And everybody in LA, everyone told me, you are wrong. Everyone said, I don't know what you're talking about. The grass is always greener. It's exactly the same. That's what I heard from all these LA guys. That's what I should have known that they were full of shit when I was talking to a guy wearing shorts and flip-flops at a comedy club. That's when I should have known. There's a guy wearing open-toed shoes going, it's exactly the same. I'm like, you know what major difference is between LA and New York? There will never be a person wearing flip-flops at a comedy club, ever. Or really in the city of New York. There's too many rats. People don't wear flip-flops in New York City. I had a couple shows in Harlem. I've never seen, the king rat. Have you heard about that? Where they're like, their tails get tied together. Yeah. I think I saw one of those. I saw like 30 rats together. And even despite that, it's a much better city. Yeah. If that's all I saw was the rats, I'd be like, I still like this more than LA. It's better. It just is. The comics were better. Everybody's much more serious about comedy. I did a bunch of shows. I did 8. What did I do? I did 12 shows total in 8 days. And then I had a few days where I didn't have shows and I did open mics. The open mics are better. People are trying harder at open mics. There are people who will slip through the cracks in New York who are so much better than the comics who are successful in LA. The comics who slip through the cracks in LA die. They're crazy. Comics who slip through the cracks in LA, I don't even know how they're paying their rent. There's just like clinically insane people who do stand up here. There's like people working hard in New York who will slip through the cracks, but they're just they're good. They respect it. Nobody has their phones out at a show or an open mic. Everyone enjoys what's going on in front of them. Whereas in LA, everybody is filming a selfie video during your set. We got on the plane and immediately everyone's like got a New York accent. And I was like, oh fuck, I don't know if I'm going to like this. Part of me was like, I'm going to hate New York. This, one of the flight attendants was like, are you from New York? Where you I'm like, I'm not. And he shut down on me. I was like, no, I'm visiting. And he goes, oh, all right, whatever. And there was like a dispute about a bag. I don't even really know how to tell this story, but some guy like left his bag in an aisle and then didn't grab it. And then a flight attendant put it in an overhead compartment. And this guy was freaking out about it. And then some guy with a thick New York accent was like, hey, shut the fuck up, dude. And I'm like, New York is going to suck. New York is going to be awful if this is how it is. And it wasn't. It was great. I had a great time. I watched Top Gun on the plane. And I know people love Top Gun. They love how patriotic Top Gun is. I don't think it's here. Top Gun. I think I read this somewhere. I'm pretty sure that I'm not making this up. Top Gun is not a good movie. I think I read that somewhere. Top Gun's not a good movie. But it is, this is what I read. Top Gun is a movie that shows that people want to make good movies. That's what they wrote in this article, which is funny. They're like, it's a movie that demonstrates that there's a desire to make great movies. This isn't one, but people want to make great movies. And I felt the same way. It's like a big blockbuster, huge movie. They're blowing stuff up. They're flying fast. And they're also stealing the ending from a Star Wars movie. Did you see it?
Yeah.
I
actually liked it.
I don't think it's a horrible movie. I don't think it's great either. But you remember, the whole premise is that they fly low to the ground.
Yeah, they're blowing up the Death Star.
And then, it's the Death Star. The whole premise of the movie, it's like, if you missed Top Gun, it's Star Wars starring Tom Cruise. That's all that it is. And an old Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is getting a little old to be flying, in my opinion. He's aging incredibly well for a 60-year-old, but he's still older. Like, Tom Cruise's face used to be tight and sexy. It was just back here. Like sexy like this. And now it's like down here. This is Tom Cruise's face. So the whole premise of the movie is that he's flying a jet really fast. When you fly a jet fast, what happens to your face? You do this. So he's flying at 10 Gs the whole movie. He's just at 10 Gs the whole movie. The whole idea is it's like, oh, look at how fast he's going. I'm like, is he going fast just like talking to Jennifer Connelly at the bar? Like he looks like he's going at 10 Gs the entire movie. And then when he actually goes 10 Gs, you're like, a face shouldn't do that. A human face should not be able to expand and contract that much. He's like, and it's like, he looks like a breed of dog that I've never even heard of, So that was a bit much. The 10G face was a bit much. And also, we flew JetBlue, which was cool. Nice airline. They have DirecTV. And my DirecTV froze for a while and I couldn't fix it. And it froze just by coincidence on that scene where they're all playing shirtless football. And I couldn't change it. And it's just frozen on half naked, Miles Teller. Everybody's half naked. John Hamm. I'm pretty sure everybody has their shirt off. And everybody on the plane is just looking at my screen. And they're all just like, did this guy just fast forward to the shirtless football scene, pause it, and stare at that for 4 hours? That's what it looked like. They're like, is this guy, how gay is this guy? And, if I was gay, that'd be fine. But they're like, that's a pretty gay. That's like a bit much on the gay scale. Yeah. So Top Gun, I give it a C+. Plane was fine. Got to New York. You do feel claustrophobic. There's like you can't see the sun through all the buildings, but you get used to that after a while. And then it's incredible. You can take the subway everywhere. They only kill like 1 in 100 people on the subway, which is great. You got pretty good odds. Every person over a certain age was telling me, do not take the subway. They're killing everyone on the subway. And honestly, that's good. I think I'm one of those weirdos who's like, I think that's going to have a good effect on New York City because it's going to get rid of the riffraff. All those guys, all those hipsters who ride like, huge unicycles and stuff. They're not going to want to take the subway did you see the clip of Gracie from one of the Gracie Gracie guys from Gracie Jiu-Jitsu? Yeah, he was in New York City taking the subway and some guy was about to attack him and then he just like strangled him and took him to the ground. No. It's amazing. But I haven't
seen that one, but there's like a billion of them.
Okay. Well, it was recent. Like that sort of thing is happening a lot. People are getting attacked on the subway. Keeps you on your toes. Honestly, I sound crazy by saying that because people actually have been like thrown in front of trains a lot recently. But like, if that's a possibility, your adrenaline is higher, your awareness is higher. And guess what? You're going to do better on stage too because you're awake. In Los Angeles, I'm just falling asleep in my car driving home from San Diego. That's what I get into my car and I'm just half asleep. talking to nobody, just watching, clips of podcasts that make me crazy, of the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia podcast on TikTok, as opposed to like actually interacting with people and seeing trains whiz by and getting in fights with your girlfriend because you're not navigating properly. There was a lot of that. I was taking the wrong train, running. I think it's good. The shows are amazing. I opened for Max Amini in front of 900 people, which was great. He didn't pay me. It was so fun. I did 10 minutes in front of 900 people, which was pretty cool. And his audience is so weird that I made direct eye contact with a 5-year-old Persian boy while I was performing. There's like grandparents, there's children. And I've opened for him in a few different cities. That was the best crowd actually that I've ever done for him, because they just get it. They get live performance. I hate to say it. The grass is greener. It's more expensive. It's harder to live there. People get thrown in front of trains. People get shot in the head in the subway. But for stand-up, if you survive, it's better. It just is. It's cold in the winter. I understand. I tell people I want to move there. They go, it's cold. And I go, well, yeah, you don't have to move there. I'm going to do it. And I also like the cold. I don't like the heat. I'm going to have a problem with the summer, man. I'm supposed to be in like a tundra somewhere. I'm Russian. I'm 100%. I'm supposed to be making a snowman right now in October. I had a great time. It's better. LA is awful. And I told you, I've been kind of like on the road for off and on for the last month. I was in New York for a couple of weeks. And also, you're probably going like, Ben, you're not successful. How did you pay for the trip to New York? I actually won $5,500 on one horse race, which paid for everything and more. It's paid for everything up until now. And now I need to start selling those injury lawyers on whatever the fuck I'm trying to sell, because it's starting to go away, the money. But it was incredible. I made one $200 bet and then instantly had $5,500 in my account. And I don't know if you don't know what I'm into. I love horse racing. I love gambling, and I'm trying so hard to just narrow it down and stop. I've tried to stop before because it's not a healthy habit. I've narrowed down the kind of races that I'll bet on to such a small degree that at this point, first of all, I stopped smoking weed. I barely drink. I've been in a relationship for 3 years, so no sex. And I don't smoke cigarettes. All I do is bet on horse races the day after it rained. That's it. Hey, Ben, what's your vice? Rain. And when it rains, there's a certain horse that runs on a certain type of track, and they have a much higher chance of winning. And honestly, I feel like an idiot telling you, but if you've made it this far into the podcast, take your money. Enjoy all the money you'll make based on that. They're called main track only horses. I've bet on them every time they run over the course of the last couple of months, and I'm up $6,000, if not $7,000. I really haven't even counted. I'm just blowing through it. And that's all I do. I do stand up and I bet on horses that run in the rain. New York was fantastic. I hated coming back. I've hated every second being back in LA. I was booked on a show last night in LA where the guy running the show I gave you the text, Chris. He probably sent me like a 500-word essay about the show. Can I read some of it?
Yeah.
So in New York, they go, hey, we'd love to have you on the show. See you at this time. This is how much time you're doing. In LA, one of the capitals of hyperbolic nonsense and people believing there's something that they aren't, and people just wasting your time and telling you about all the stuff they have going on when they have nothing, when they're just doing Uber Eats poorly, you know? That's what LA is about as far as I'm concerned. I'm doing this show last night. And before the day of the show, I get this. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's so long, but I'll read most of it. I get this DM about the show. Tonight is the night. Please keep sharing the link to buy tickets. We haven't sold enough yet. I didn't know that the subtext there was they've sold 0. That's LA optimism. Hey, we haven't sold enough tickets yet. We sold no tickets. 0. Just tell me you haven't sold a ticket yet. It's going to be a fun night tonight. It's not fun. The host is a character based on Gomez Addams from the Addams Family, Rod Sterling, Estragon from Waiting for Godot, Willy Wonka, and Cecil Bill Demented from the John Waters film. So the host of the show, in theory, I'll give away the ending of this story. The show didn't happen because nobody showed up for the show. But in theory, if the show had happened, the host would have been based on 4 different people from well-known films. There were less than 4 people who bought tickets to this show, and he's basing his character. Why is there a character hosting a stand-up show? First of all. And why is it based on 4 different people? I don't know that much about acting, but I have a feeling like if you want to base your character on something, maybe narrow it down to less than 4 characters. What a hodgepodge schizophrenic character that would have been. 4 different people. Here, sorry, can you open this again? Okay. Thank you. Everybody knows Chris's code now. Okay. I think I'm in. Yes. Okay. What the fuck? No, I got it. Sorry. I'm an Apple guy. Simple-minded. I don't know how to use Linux or whatever. Okay, so he's basing his host character on 4 different people. And he goes, so obviously it's not really me. What, like, are you psychotic? I don't care. He goes, I'm not going to disrespect any of you on stage. I'm going to act macabre and bizarre. Just roll with it. Feel free to make fun of the venue. What did my agent sign me up for? If we're doing this show, there's no agents involved. What a silly thing to say. I'm the horror element of the show. There should be horror. I'm saying horror, not prostitute. I'm the horror element of the show. You are the comedy. It's a comedy show. Maybe it should all be comedy. The point is, the show was awful. None of this ended up happening. He sent me, a couple pages of text just for no reason. I got paid. He gave me $25 and I just drove home. That was fine, I guess. And then today he says, Dear Mighty Sir, it was awesome meeting you last night. I can certainly tell how you know how to rock the mic. Based on what? Based on a conversation we had outside of the venue? Thank you for your wise words and solid advice. The next location will be in the heart of Hollywood with Tom Rhodes. I love Tom Rhodes, but there are going to be 0 tickets sold for this one as well. I hope you can join us again. The show was still successful. That's LA in a nutshell. I'm done reading this. The show was still successful. No one came to the show. You sent me so many long DMs and nothing happened. But somehow, in this guy's mind, the show was still successful. And in New York, I did shows for 6 people. I did a handful of shows for very few people and a handful of shows for more people. But nobody's that delusional. When there's no one there, no one went, hey, it was great. Nobody canceled anything. I'm just saying, LA is just, it's so easy to be full of it here because there's no one around. Nobody's challenging you. Actually, I do in that long text that he sent, he mentioned agents. I actually do have a casino booking agent who is not a good one. I don't think. I'm not sure if there are good casino booking agents, but he sent me an email about a gig in New Mexico. The idea, so I should have read between the lines and like maybe paid a little bit more attention to the details associated with this gig. I was just excited to go do casinos and do a half hour at a bunch of casinos. I was excited to go do that. But the gig was, we need a feature act, that's me, to drive a headliner from Los Angeles to New Mexico. That's a 13-hour drive. And then that's for one show. The following show is in a different part of New Mexico that's 3 hours away. And then the last show is in Colorado, and that's 6 hours away. And then you drive home to Los Angeles after that. So the gig was, you're driving 13 hours and then another 4 hours, 17 hours, and then another 6 hours, 23 hours, and then another 13 hours, 36 hours to do 3 shows. That's not worth it. 36 hours of driving. But I took it. I was like, this will build character. I'll get to stay at a casino for free. I'll make a little bit of money. I'll hang out with some Native Americans. And it turned, no one in America says negative things about Native Americans. I may be the first. They're just like, it's like, just, here's the thing. There are a lot of issues. There are a lot of issues. We've definitely held you back. I understand. But maybe you should just, start hooking up with people who aren't Native American. Spread your genes out. Because it's not, I was in New Mexico. I went to this casino in Mescalero, New Mexico. And one of the people who work there told me that every single person who works here is drunk. And the subtext there was, they're Native Americans. It's like, I ordered dinner one night and they forgot. And I sound like a spoiled weirdo, but it's like, I don't care. I don't care that you forgot, but it's a little weird. It's a little weird to put an order in, see someone write it down, come back in 30 minutes and they go, oh shit, And it's because everybody's drinking. Actually, on the last day, I ordered breakfast. This is, I'm going to tell you about the drive in a second, but on the last day there, when we were leaving the casino, I ordered a breakfast because we had 2 meal vouchers, 2 $20 meal vouchers. The other thing is, when you do shows like this, like casino shows, where you don't get paid that much money, the headliner is the cheapest guy on the face of the planet. They're constantly talking about ways to save money. They're keeping track of every expense, which should be a red flag for the gig. When the guy you're with is just like obsessed with money, with holding on to small amounts of money. So we get 2 meal vouchers for $20. When we got the 2 meal vouchers, the headliner who is a felon, I didn't realize that when I took the gig. In the email for the gig, he goes, "Hey, could you drive the headliner to the show?" He didn't say, "Hey, the headliner's been to jail, prison." He was in prison for an extended period of time for dealing with. His name is Toby Hicks. First of all, the headliner doesn't have a real name. That should have been a red flag. That was in the email. The headliner's name is spelled Tobehixx. It's like a porn name. Toby Hicks. And he's a good dude, but I drove Toby Hicks there. They're obsessed with money. When we were leaving, I ordered eggs to go because I wanted to use my last meal voucher. And the lady who took my order gave it. She goes, "You already paid, right?" And I'm like, "I have a meal voucher. I'll just tell her I already paid, so I don't have to worry. Who cares? What's the difference?" So I take the food, and I went up to my room for a second, came down, and then a Native American girl comes out. Sorry, a person who worked at the casino. And she goes, "You didn't pay for your food." And I go, "Well, I have just meal vouchers." So it's like, I didn't really think it was a big deal. And she goes, she goes, you can't use that for takeout. So I ended up having to pay out of pocket because there was like some weird loophole. I don't know. They're just swindlers. I hate to say it, but those people who work there are just pieces of shit. They really were. I had to pay like $16 for this thing that I should have had covered by my meal voucher. But there's some, for some reason, you can't use a voucher for to-go food. I think she was just embarrassed that this woman forgot that I didn't pay. Whatever. Fuck the people of Mescalero, New Mexico. So the way the trip goes, I picked up Toby Hicks at his house in Van Nuys, California, before our 13-hour drive to New Mexico. And he immediately he's like, hey man, let's go wash your car. And I'm thinking like, that's a little weird. Why does he want to wash my car? And we go through, he goes, when we go to this car wash, he goes, I got a membership here. I go here 4 times a week. And I was like, that's too many times. He's washing his car 4 times a week. And we go through the car wash. It's nice. You know, the car is cleaner. And then he's like, let's pull up and vacuum your car. He starts vacuuming my car before we go anywhere. And I should have known. I mean, this guy came out of his house just glistening with lotion all over him. And he's black. And I know that that's a black thing. But I didn't realize that was also an OCD thing. This guy has severe OCD. He's putting on hand sanitizer constantly in the car. He's covered in lotions. He washed my car. And we were, and he's been to prison. And actually, I don't blame him for being worried about cleanliness. I'm sure I'm sure everyone who goes to prison is just constantly cleaning themselves afterwards. And we're in a 13-hour drive to New Mexico. Me and this guy. And he says almost nothing the whole drive. Like as little as a human being could possibly say. Basically, it felt like we were cellmates. I didn't know that he had been to prison before I saw his set at the casino. It felt like we were just like inmates together in my car. And I was trying to make conversation at first. I'm like, hey, did you read the itinerary? They said we couldn't swear. And he goes, that's bullshit. He's like furious the whole time. And honestly, as we're driving, every 20 minutes or so, he would go, there ain't nothing out here. And then just like start looking at his phone afterwards. It was dead silence. And then what he said a lot was like, he's like, man, if I lived out here, I'd go fucking crazy. And then you just look at his phone. He said the same thing over and over again. He also ate 100 milligrams of THC edibles, minimum, while driving. He's just eating nothing but weed. Every time we stop the car to get gas, he's cleaning my front window. This guy's cleaning everything. He started vacuuming the back of my car and he goes, there's a stain here. And I'm like, yeah, it's my car. There's stains at some place. He's like freaking out because there's a stain where your feet go if you sit in the back of the car. He shouldn't even know that that's there. He's like, yo, if I was sitting in the back here, I might get some of this shit on my face. Well, you're sitting in the front the whole time, Toby. Tobe, Toby. It's a very long ride. We started hearing one of the front tires making a sound as we're going. And I thought that like there was like a piece of rubber that like wrapped around the tire that was messed up. That's what I thought. I thought it was like a superficial thing. I mean, we went nonstop, man. We drove through the entire state of Arizona. We hit Blythe, California, which is where Toby got edibles because he wanted to get edibles. You can't get edibles in Arizona. There's no weed in Arizona. So the last place possible is where he got the edibles. And he was like, man, this is a good deal. at the weed place? And I was like, yeah, it looks like a good deal. And then I guess that there was a ton of taxes he had to pay. And he goes, those taxes are bullshit. He's like, highs, so many instantaneous highs and lows with Toby. This is a good deal. That was bullshit. Car's making noise. We're driving. We drove through. We saw all the snowbirds. I actually learned from a guy who I met recently from Arizona that there are all these people who move to Arizona for the winter who tow. It's like they have like a RAV4 and they're towing like a compact car. And it's so dangerous. It's like a little SUV with another little car attached to it. And there's just like one 8-wheel car that's switching lanes and like getting in people's way. And they have these weird little license plates. Toby was freaking out. Toby's like, that's not legal, man. That's not legal. We went through Border Patrol. Me and Toby. It's like 1 a.m, maybe a little before 1 a.m. We've been driving all day. I'm exhausted. This is like just as we hit New Mexico. And the car's making noises. I pull up slowly to Border Patrol, and the Border Patrol guy was like, "Are you nervous?" And I was just so like drained at this point. Toby's not saying anything. I'm like, he's making me anxious, just freaking out about everything. The guy was like, "Are you nervous?" And I go, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, I'm nervous." And it was fine. Toby told him we were comics, but as we're leaving, Toby's like, "You did everything wrong. Everything." He thought we were going to go to jail or something because I was nervous. It's like, you know, when you get in trouble at Border Patrol, Toby, when you have a story ready, when you're like, I'm a traveling performer and I'm nothing wrong, nothing to see here, Border Patrol. That's when they check your car and find out that Toby has a ton of edibles in it. I guess that's what he was worried about. We also just like, me and him together completely look like two guys who would be trafficking drugs in Breaking Bad. Just like a white guy with a mustache and then like an emaciated black guy named Toby Hicks. Definitely. Those are two guys who are like driving through New Mexico with $10,000 in cash. That's what we looked like. It's getting late. And Toby and I talked about staying at a cheap motel because we had to stay somewhere before getting to the casino. And once it hits like 1:30, Toby's like, "Yeah, man, let's just like get some food and sleep in the car." And I'm like, I would rather fucking kill myself than sleep in our car that's totally full of like luggage and stuff with you. I don't even know who you are, man. I just want a separate room. He's set on that. We stop at Denny's, which is the only restaurant that's open in La Cruces, New Mexico at 2 a.m. I saw a small child moon his dad from the inside of the restaurant. Oh, and they try to seat us by the door. And then Toby's like, "What the?" Toby's like, "We can't sit here, man." And then the guy sat us somewhere else. And Toby goes, "Man, that guy doesn't know that black people don't like getting sit by the door."
I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't know it was a thing. He's like, "What if someone comes in here and starts shooting the place up?" I'm like, "Toby, it's me, you, and then that kid who mooned his dad. There's no one else here. If they want to shoot the place up, they're going to kill all of us." The guy, our waiter, kind of looked like Geppetto a little bit, like a heavy Geppetto, and was definitely on meth or on something. And he took our order and went out to his car and then came back in. And you could imagine Toby loses his mind. Toby's like, "Man, you're not supposed to take an order, go to your fucking car, man." He's like, "I'm going to watch this guy." And then he serves us our food. First of all, Toby ordered at Denny's at 2 a.m. in the middle of nowhere in New Mexico. Toby ordered salmon. Not salmon, salmon. He goes, "How's your salmon?" And it's like, that's the guy who should be ordering salmon at Denny's. A guy who calls it salmon. And then the waiter was like, "The salmon's good." He like didn't want to correct him. Toby watches the guy. The guy doesn't wash his hands. The guy also has the dirtiest hands I've ever seen in my life. Like he just buried a dead body or like rubbed his hands in soot. Toby ate his salmon with napkins around both utensils and then napkins around hot sauces. He wouldn't touch anything in the restaurant. And then I got diarrhea after that. So I probably should have followed suit with Toby. I had horrible, horrible digestive problems. We get to the casino. We were actually able to check in early. Thanks, Toby. Toby talked him into it, which is nice. So I got to bed at like 5 or 6 a.m. And you sleep all day. Actually, I went for a run in the woods, and then after I got in, somebody told me that the elk were in rut. And he's like, if an elk had seen you, he would have killed you. I was like, this is so nice. I get to go out, I'm in nature. This is like beautiful out here in New Mexico. Little did I know, I was just elk bait running around. He's like, that elk would have decked you and tried to, raped you, would have fucked you. I was like, Jesus Christ, man. Luckily it was fine, but, the next day we did the show. Show was, the average age of the audience member of the show, I would say was about 65. And they were not a hot audience by any means, but it was, it was a show. The next day we leave the casino. We have to go to the next one. And my car is making more noise. And then the front left tire just falls off the car. And we're stranded on a highway. We call AAA. I told you before that everybody who worked at the casino was drunk. AAA guy comes 2 hours late, like 2 hours after we called him, definitely drunk. Also kind of seemed like Jeffrey Dahmer, like he was like a little on the spectrum, which is reassuring. He kept going, hey, do you want me to do this? Because otherwise I'll scrape up your car. And I'm just like, just do it. Do you really think I don't want you to? It's like, do you think I'm going to go, no, scrape up my car. Go for it. Please. He goes, well, if I don't do this, it'll ruin your car. Then do it. Please do it. Hammered. The guy's hammered out of his, he can't even make direct eye contact. He jacked my car up to elevate it so that he could tow it. And actually, so he could put the tire back on. And he had trouble standing up. Like he was wobbling on the way up. That's where we're at. There's so few AAA calls in this area that the AAA guy is hammered. Long story short, we didn't make it to the next show. We were running too far behind. We drove back to Los Angeles. So I drove 26 hours in 48 hours with an ex-con who also has severe OCD. And I made $200, which means if you include gas, I lost $200. And that was the trip, man. And that was still better than LA. Still better than this. I like podcasting. I've been enjoying this. I like, and I don't know. I don't even know how to end this. Where are we at time-wise? We're
a little over 50 minutes.
50?
Yeah.
Great. I can't believe we did 50 minutes. Jesus. No wonder. Towards the end, I was like, I'm getting a little tired. I was like, gee, these 30 minutes are taking a long time. We're at 50 minutes. Okay. I'm going to move to New York eventually, despite what everyone thinks I should do. It's going to cost me a lot of money. Everything's expensive there. And it'll be worth it because the comics are better. They take comedy more seriously. It'll benefit me. I do think I've learned a lot about self-promotion and social media. All the comics in New York don't even have social media, and that's holding them back big time. I know how to do that stuff now, but I can't fucking do this anymore, man. I can't go to shows where a guy wrote 3 paragraphs about the show and then there is no show. I just can't do it. And as much as I love Toby Hicks, I'm going to leave him in LA. I'm going to leave him behind. Should I plug stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. Jesus, that's a lot of pressure now. What do I have coming up? I got, this week I have a show at the Comedy Chateau, which is a real shit show. Kevin Hart drops in sometimes.
I'm gonna interrupt you.
Yeah.
Because we're probably gonna release this in a couple weeks. So you should probably just plug your social media. Maybe Honest Therapy. Honest Therapy will still be
Yes.
going on.
Please check out Honest Therapy, which is on YouTube. We have 10 episodes out now.
Yeah. We have about 4 left.
4 left. It's a good show. Honestly, I think the last one was very good. It's really like me and the other therapist, Emily, versus a dating coach. I thought that was a pretty fun one to watch. Check out my Instagram, Ben Herwitz Comedian on Instagram. Check out my TikTok, Ben Herwitz Comedian. And just could you maybe stop watching famous people just talk about nothing and maybe watch an unfamous guy talk about nothing? Could you have a heart and do that, please? Because it would really change my life if you did that. I guess that's all. I mean, there's nothing else to plug. Really, I have shows. I'm at the Madhouse in San Diego on the 2nd and 3rd of December. That's something. I actually do. I have some weird super fans in San Diego. I'm at the level of success which is so low that my fans probably want to like kill me.
Yeah. You're at the level where people can actually DM you.
Oh yeah, and they have my full attention.
Yeah.
And if they see me,
in fact, shout some of them out right now.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll love it.
Yeah. No, the people who like actually are into what I'm doing, are like obsessed. They might be watching me right now, and there's like 2 of them. And that's it.
Yeah, and for everything else, just check the description. You'll see his Twitter, Instagram links, TikTok.
Please check out the description. Check out my YouTube. We're gonna start a new YouTube. I love this, but really I do stand up. So look at my stand up clips. Come out to a show. Yeah, I just want to do stand up. That's all, and this, but mostly stand up. Okay, thank you. That's Ben Unfiltered. That's it. Episode 1. In the books. We clap again?
No. I'm going to leave that in.